Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today, this is another episode of If Was a Trap Banger. Now, the thing is, the beat's already made, and the reason is that it happened quite organically this morning. I was making a beat, and I was like, you know what? This beat would be fire with some vocals on it. So I threw X's Moonlight Acapella on here, and I tell you what, it just worked. So I'm gonna run through. I'm gonna show you how I made the beat today. It's a sad, kind of slow tempo guitar beat. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So here we are in the project. We're at 110 BPM and we're in G minor. Now the original Moonlight song is at 128 BPM and it's in A minor, I believe. So I have pitched the vocal down by 2 semitones. Yes, 2 semitones. I use a little altar boy, but we'll get to the vocal in just a second. We're gonna go through the beat first and then we'll come back. But anyway, first instrument I use is good old Expand here. I'm using the chorus electric guitar preset here, number 22 in guitars. And for effects, I've just got a fruity parametric EQ, cutting out the low end to get rid of the muddiness, and a lot of the really harsh frequencies, or like the twangy frequencies that I feel like this preset has. So I've sort of rounded off the low end at about 2000 hertz. And I put on quite a bit of reverb with the stereo separation, the size, and the wet level is turned up quite a bit. And this is the pattern that it's playing. Very, very simple. We're just playing 2 chords. We're playing G minor 7 and a D minor 7. Very simple chords. Each of them going for just over a bar where this melody comes in. Very simple, just between the D and the C with this flam. I like the flam. It sounds great here. Not too much to go into here. It's very, very simple. Basically, I just did whatever worked good. You will notice that this is a 1-5 chord progression because the 5th of the G minor is the D, so it's the 5th of the scale. That's basically how I work it out, and then that's the root of the next chord. So it's a 1-5 chord progression, just arpeggiated, and we've got a little bit of melody breaking up in between each of the chords, and this is just a 2-bar loop repeated. Very simple stuff. I also have my very standard Reese bass serum preset here. It's just playing the root notes G and D. Very simple stuff. And I've just got a EQ on here to cut out a lot of the high end because I don't really like the distortion that this bass preset has a lot of the times. So I've rounded that off and I've boosted at 153 hertz here just to give it a lot subbier bottom end. Finally, for the instruments, we've got arcade, and this is something slightly different. I was looking for a chop that sort of had the hold on, like sad vibe. So I went into search here, I searched hold on, and I went into samples here, and if you scroll down, I used this preset right here. So you just click generate kit. It slices your audio just like this, and then all I used was this key right here, full loop, and I just played that. So that's all this pattern is doing. Basically, the only difference is that it cuts off earlier in the first bar, so the end of the phrase doesn't play. But so for the effects on the arcade, we have a Valhalla Supermassive. We've got the 60% of Infinity preset back again. This is an oldie but a goodie. We've got the mix level at around 50%, delay at just over 200 milliseconds, and feedback at 50%, and also warp at 100%. Those are the main parameters that I tweaked in this preset, so it sounds nice and washy. And that's something I wanted for this vocal. I didn't want it to be up in your face. I wanted it to be nice in the background and it wasn't too confrontational because I wanted to put the vocals on top and I didn't want them to be competing too much. So going along with that, we've got this EQ2 here with a very similar EQ to the guitar. However, it's cut a lot higher and the top end roll off is a lot steeper. I've got a second EQ here, just boosting the lows and slightly cutting the mids because I think that way it meshed with the bass a lot better that way. And then I just threw a Pan Man on here with 2-bar wide slow MIDI. This is a preset that I use 99% of the time, and I just turned the width down to about 50% so that it wasn't too wide. So basically this vocal just goes back and forth as it plays to give it a little bit of stereo separation, you could say. Moving on to the drums, we've got the 808 Tattoo. This is from Lucent's, prod by Lucent's free drum pack. It's basically his A808, but it's a little bit fatter and it plays for a little bit longer. It's playing this pattern. Basically, on the root notes the entire time. I do have a triplet switch up here with the velocities tapered off. But apart from that, very simple. You pretty much copy that just by looking at it, if you were that way inclined. I've got this kick, the RGB kick. This is from Cody's 2021 go-to kit. I use this kick a lot in a lot of my beats. Sounds like this. And that is just following the 808 pattern, except I deleted the triplet roll kick so that it wasn't, you know, hitting too close together. But next up, we have the hi-hat. Very, very simple pattern. Basically, we got a 2-bar loop that repeats with a slight variation. This is on a triplet grid. It's descending in pitch as well. And I've just pressed Alt-R to randomize the velocities. Also, I forgot to mention this before, but on the guitar, you got to make sure that you randomize the velocities to make it sound much more realistic, because without, it sounds very robotic and very dry. So you make sure you do that. But yeah, this is the hi-hat sample. Standard clap. It's just playing your very standard clap pattern. Got an open hat. This, I believe, actually has quite a lot of reverb on it. Yeah, I've turned the decay up quite a lot. Stereo separation and wet level. And I've also EQ'd it to cut this resonant frequency. It was quite harsh, so I just did a 2 or 3 dB cut at this specific frequency. But it's also playing a very simple pattern, along with this hi-hat, which is also playing a very simple pattern that repeats every 4 bars. Next up, we have a rim. That again, playing a very standard rim accent snare pattern. And finally, for the drums, we have this TikTok perk that's playing this very simple pattern as well. Another 4-bar loop. And you'll notice that these are panned from left to right as well. Finally, we got the transition from Tri-Phrase's free drum pack. I love that transition effect, super dope. And in terms of automation, we'll just go back to arcade for a second, the vocal chop. In the verse here, I've just pretty much cut all the effects off for this 8-bar section here to really bring it back up into the forefront with a little bit of variation. It basically cuts all the reverb and all the filters so that it sounds very upfront and centered. And I've also cut a little bit of the volume too, because when you remove an EQ filter, what you're doing is you're basically making the sound louder as well. So I've just dipped the volume here slightly so that it wasn't too loud when the effects were cut. And I've automated the master stereo separation as well. This is something I did in my last remix. This works really well for verses and beat drops or beat cuts, where it goes really mono, and then when it drops back in, it goes stereo again. So it puts so much more emphasis on the beat coming back in and makes it drop so much harder. And finally, we've got the acapella. I have 2 versions here. The main version is I've got just a basic EQ cut, cutting out all the low end. I've got this EQ boosting some of the mids and cutting a very harsh frequency at 4.8k hertz. This is very specific to the acapella that I got because of the quality, but it sounded good, so I did it. Now I've got the little altar boy. I'm pitching it down 2 semitones so it matches the key of the song. And finally, I added a little bit of reverb to make it a little wet. So again, it fitted the vibe of the song a little better than with the dry vocal. With this second mixer track, all I've done is I've basically increased the reverb. So yeah, I've increased the decay up to 5.4 seconds with a little bit of stereo separation and a lot of wet level too to make it really drowned out. Because for this bridge section, we've cut all the effects for the arcade and we've also reverbed out the main acapella for a bunch of it. Mainly because this section of the acapella that's usually there was pretty bad quality. So I just cut another section, put it there, reverbed it out a lot, brought the arcade in to the forefront for a little bit of variation, and yeah, that's basically the song. We've got the intro with just the guitar, the sub bass, and the arcade vocal here. And then as the beat drops in, we've actually got the kick in the first half of the chorus, which I don't usually do, but there's that. I've got a beat cut in the second bar here with just the guitar and the 808, so that the drums keep playing, and then when it comes back in, it's like a little mini drop. And you'll see that almost every single beat drop here, the stereo separation goes to mono. Not entirely mono though. It just goes a little bit more mono so that when the beat comes back in, it smacks so much harder. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to play the song now. If you want to listen to the full song, as always, it'll be the top link in the description. I love you all. If you liked the video, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content, hit the bell notification to be notified next time I post a video. Let me know what song you want to see next. And yeah, that's going to be it. Stay safe, stay healthy, drink water, get lots of sleep. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. And as always, I love you.
With the wrist, no. Who are you testing? Fuck a skip on his, you listen, no. Nothing in testing. Taking shots at all your breath, you know. Feel like a damn man.